for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you for our inaugural episode,
Yes.
and very excited to be talking to you about our upcoming musical, Legally Blonde. Before we dive in, can you give the audience a little synopsis of the show and the projected audience?
Yes, so basically it is the plot of the movie just enhanced for the musical experience. Yeah, there's not much different from the movie. There's more plot, I think, than what was given to us in the movie, I think. Yeah.
Exciting. And the show opens on June
6th.
June 6th.
Yes.
That's right. And it runs for 2 weekends, correct? And we have evening performances and Sunday matinees.
Yes.
Very exciting. Well, Drake, I know that you've been with Butterfield for quite some time, but some of our viewers may not know that. So can you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your background, kind of what brought you to Butterfield and theater and all of that?
So I was in a small school when I was in the 6th grade, and there wasn't really any activities that I was like into at the time. There was nothing that I really fell into. And so one day my mom literally picked me up from school, drove me in the car, and was like, oh, well, we're gonna go somewhere today. I'm like, I don't know where we're going, but okay, let's go somewhere. And we got here. I was like, I don't know what this place. She's like, we enrolled you for a theater class. I'm like, okay, we'll try it. And I didn't know what to expect. And I really was just like, oh, I don't think so. I remember throwing a hissy fit in the car. Like that's the one thing I remember. I was like, no, I can't do that. And I remember walking in, and the first people I met were Alfred Wesser and Shannon Revore, both who do shows here. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these people are so cool. And then I took my first class and I got into it. And then I got in the car and I told her I found my people, because I knew right then that this was where it was supposed to be. And then I did a few shows. My first show I ever did here was The Hobbit. And that was the first time I've ever been on stage. And I did like, this is my 8th Butterfield show now. So yeah.
Exciting. So exciting. And this is your first Butterfield show to direct.
My first time ever to direct.
So exciting to have your directorial debut.
Yes, I'm so excited.
In our big summer musical. So I know you mentioned it was the people that kind of, finding your people. I can definitely resonate with that. I feel that same way sometimes, like just being around the theater people, it's like, oh, these are my people, they get me, and I can just be me. Is there any of that, that kind of love of the theater and the people that we're going to be able to see reflected on stage?
Oh yeah, so this show, we had a big turnout for auditions, and most everyone who came out were people that haven't done shows here in so long. They're people I did my first show with, like my stage manager hasn't done a show since The Hobbit. And we have a few who just haven't done shows since like 2018. Some who've never done shows. We even have, so our Paulette in the show, played by Angela Doss, she's done, I don't know how much, a number of shows. I remember her as a kid. I went to see Into the Woods here, and that was the first thing I ever saw. And I remember, like, I barely remember the show, but I remember her.
She was fabulous in that show.
And I just was so excited to see, I was just, oh my God, in awe of her. And when she told me that she wanted to be in the show, I was like, yes, anything, like, absolutely.
Yes.
And so, yeah, lots of the familiar people for me are in this show, and lots of the people I started theater with are a part of this one. So
that's so exciting. That's so much fun. And I definitely agree with you, Angela. First time I ever saw Angela on stage was in the Into the Woods, and I absolutely became the biggest fan of hers. I was like, oh my gosh, she's fabulous. And when I got to do a nice family gathering with her, I was like, oh, I get to be on stage with her.
Love it.
So tell me about some of the challenges that you faced so far as a director in this process.
So I've gotten my knowledge of directing from college, and I've gotten my, I've known how to act for a long time as well. But I think it was when I was in the room for the first time, for on stage. We did our read-throughs and we did our vocal rehearsals. And I was like, okay, well, this is I kind of get this. But then the first time we were on stage, it was just like, oh, now it's my turn. I have to do things now. And that was really shocking at first. But I think challenges, I think it's just finding like the right way to work with everyone, because everyone has their own method, I think, when it comes to theater. And I think it has helped out a lot that I am also an actor, and having an actor as who is also a director really helps a lot of people, I think, especially when it comes to it. And I have that sense of like, I want to do something, and then I realize, oh well, as an actor I would want this to happen, and then I kind of think about that as I direct. So that's been a challenge, kind of going back and forth between the two. But I'd say now I'm pretty much like a director brain with like the acting like awareness as well. But yeah,
that's awesome. On the flip side of that, what have been some of the highlights of this process for you? Maybe some wins or funny stories along the way?
So funny stories. I think, well, I don't know funny stories, but I think just hearing everyone sing for the first time as like a group, because we've had a few who joined us later in the process, and so we really haven't had everyone until like a few weeks ago. And so when I first heard everyone sing on stage, I was just like, oh my, like now we have a cast, and it was so cool. I loved it so much, like just hearing everyone together. And me and our vocal director, Susan Higgins, just like, we were in awe of everybody, because it's just like, oh my God, everyone's singing in it. They sound so good.
Oh, that's so exciting. They did sound fabulous the other night when I was at rehearsals and watching. It was so great. To wrap things up, why don't you go ahead and tell our audience why they don't want to miss this show?
I think it brings a new and fresh take on the show. And I think it's fresh having a new director as well. Because I know that we've had several directors at Butterfield in the past, and I think it's exciting that I'm one of the new ones, and so I get to bring my own spin on things. And so I'm just excited for everyone to see that. And I think we have an awesome cast, and everyone's gonna love it, I think. So
well, I definitely agree on all points. I also am excited to see a new director, especially one who has actually come up through Butterfield. So it'll be exciting to see a familiar face in a new role here. So definitely y'all want to make sure to get your tickets. You can get them online at butterfieldstage.org, or you can call our box office at 940-665-8152. And yes, I did have to look at that because I don't memorize phone numbers anymore. Thank you all so much for joining us on our first ever, albeit slightly short, episode of the Casting Couch. We look forward to seeing you again. And Drake, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing Legally Blonde and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Bye.